Hi, hello guys. Emmanuel, can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me now? I was still on mute. Good. I am so sorry to everyone. I was talking to myself earlier, but here's the thing. Let me just give you some quick recap of what I was saying earlier. So what I was saying was the presentation I'm about to take you through is a presentation that a training that I did that was sponsored by the Financial Sector Deepening Zambia, FSDZ. And I would really love to appreciate FSDZ for the partnership we had between 2016 and 2020. This program was sponsored by FSDZ, and we did training almost across Zambia. We went to Eastern Province, we went to Southern Province, Northwestern, and of course we did Lusaka as well. In Lusaka, this training, this particular presentation that you are seeing was actually tailor-made for welders that came from Kadingalinga and Garden and other areas of Lusaka. So this is what I'm about to show you. Now, I'm not going to take you through the entire presentation or training. I just want to touch on specific areas because this training was tailor-made for SMEs, businesses. But in the training, there's an element of personal finance management, okay? And that is what I want us to focus on. So when we talk about personal finance management, it is very important to start with your goals. What are your goals for a happy future? I feel like, when you don't think about your goals, you're actually lost because the goal is the aim and it determines how much you are able to save towards that aim. Just imagine you are aiming to build a house in the next 3 years. And on top of that, you've got a child that is going to graduate from secondary school that will need to go into university, okay? And on top of that, you've got an ailing, sibling or parent that might require your help. If you know these things, you will know how much it costs to manage them. And that is why the basic principle, the starting point in terms of personal financial management, and I believe this actually applies to corporates as well. This is why companies talk about strategic planning. They're talking about setting their goals, but we're not going to go into that. For us as individuals, our goals really matter because they determine what we can save, where we can save it, and where we can invest it. So I would like you to start by thinking about what are your goals for a happy future? Okay, and don't be shy about this. Imagine your future in the next 10, 5 years, 15, 20 years, when you're 30, when you're 40, when you're 50, when you're 60, when you're 70. What kind of life do you want to live? Because that is where your personal financial management techniques or tactics or strategies start coming into play. They are connected with what your goals for the future are. Okay. And once you've discovered what your goals for your happy future is, and we are very different, by the way, this is why this is personal finance. What I'm aiming for might not be what you are aiming for. Okay. We are different. So you really need to personalize this. And I encourage you to actually discuss this with a friend, with a spouse, with anybody that's willing to listen to you. If not, you can just yourself find time and sit down and think about this. It's a very fundamental concept that sounds like, what is that? But it's actually important and it's central to everything you're going to do going forward. Whether I'm talking about investing in government bonds or property or building your business, it all comes back to this. It comes back to your goals. So if you are not sure about your goals, you don't know what you're aiming for. You have no clue where you're going. And you know what they say about people who have no clue where they're going. Eh? Any road will take them there, anywhere. Okay. So the first assignment today is go back, think about your goals if you haven't done so already, because then you are going to have a clear path in terms of how you are going to be managing your personal finance. So let's move on to the next. Having established your your goal, your life goal. So having established your life goals, okay, they're a number, right? They're a number. The next thing you need to do is now to start building a muscle. And this is where savings become very useful. Okay, savings. Now, when I talk about savings, I am talking about keeping money aside for investment. We are not just keeping 10% of the money that we make from our business or from our salary just for the sake of keeping it in a bank account or somewhere under the bed or wherever else. The reason why we are saving is so that we can start building, reserves or money that we are then going to start investing. Now, nowadays, I've seen quite a number of financial coaches and they are talking about how to invest in this, how to invest in that. But then you need to understand that people are different. We are all different and we are starting from different points. There are people that don't have a lot of money. They don't have a lot of resources. The money that they make can be spent entirely on household expenses, leaving them almost with nothing to actually invest in order for them to start getting their financial independence. But you know what? This is where financial education becomes very instrumental, because in as much as you believe you don't make a lot of money to even start thinking about saving or investing, I want to challenge you through these live streams that you can actually do it. You can actually do it. And hopefully, if everything goes well, we are going to do some kind of challenges to see how we can actually help each other to realize that it is possible. Even starting from 100 kwacha, I can actually save and invest and become an investor, right? An investor in stock, in stocks on the Lusaka, stock exchange, or in the government bonds or treasury bills or anything else that we talk about on this platform. But the key thing is you need to build resources, cash, and that is done through savings. Okay, now we will discuss the platforms you can use for saving this money, because for those that know a little bit about me, I'm actually very averse to keeping money in a bank account without it giving you an interest. So even as you look at saving money, you need to look at where you're going to keep it so that it does not lose value. Because you see, money loses value every day because of what is referred to as inflation. And you know what inflation is by now, especially if you've been following my channel. And that's why I would encourage you at this point to actually share this video, so that even this live stream, share this link to people so that people can join us and start learning, about financial independence. So don't keep money in the bank account, because money loses value with time. Inflation is simply the loss in purchasing power of a currency. So if you keep money in a bank account and they're not giving you interest, or the interest does not match inflation, okay, let's say the bank gives you 1% interest on your savings account and inflation probably stands at 9.9%. Look at the difference. The real cost is 8.9%. So the money is actually losing value as it sits in that bank account. So you need to think about ways in which to save your money. But in terms of savings, it's a key starting point. You cannot start investing without saving money. And that's why for all of us are different, like I said, right? Some people might already have built these reserves. They already have the money. Others are working towards building this money, the savings. So don't compare yourself to anyone. Compare yourself to yourself. I mean, you now know that you need to think about your goals, and then you need to start saving. So if you know that you are behind in terms of you don't have enough resources to start investing in the investment opportunities that we've been discussing on this platform, don't worry. Focus on building that reserve. Focus on building it slowly, and don't look at anyone else. Just keep saving the money, keep saving the money. And then once you have enough money, we're going to look at options in which you can actually save that money. Okay. So some of the goals that people have, saving towards emergency funds. So this is a sick child. If you don't keep money for emergencies, you might really get stuck. If your child gets ill, what might happen? For those of us in business, the reason why we would want to save is so that we grow our businesses. Okay, I don't want my business to be forever small. I want it to grow from a small business to a big business. And then, of course, there are some of us who dream about, dream houses. I want to build my dream house, right? So you can aim for that. That can be your goal. But in order for you to achieve these goals, you will definitely need to start saving money, which is what this piggy bank is about. You need to start saving the money. Now, how much should you be saving every month? It's a very important question, right? So yes, you're telling us about saving, but then how much should I save every month? I really don't like to tell people what to do. And I've heard 10% of your net income. There've been, suggestions of percentages of revenue that you make that you can set aside every month. That sounds great if it's something that you can apply. But for me, what's really important is understanding your goals. So write down all your goals. Decide which goals you want to achieve first. Okay, this is how you go about determining what you should save every month. So having established your goals, determine how much you need for each goal. So set goals, determine how much you need for each goal. All right. Then count the number of months needed to save this money that you've established for the goals. Then decide which goal you want to achieve first. So prioritize the goals. Okay. Not every goal weighs the same. Then when do you need the cash? Establish when this money is needed. All right. So I'll give you an example very soon. And then get the monthly savings required amount. Okay. All right. So if it sounds complicated right now, it is going to be easier as we proceed. But basically, these are the steps to establishing how much you should be saving every month. Okay. So here's a savings plan that I created that you need to think through in order for you to plan how much you should be saving every month, or your total monthly savings required. That is what it's called, total monthly savings required. So this is exactly what I was trying to explain. So establish your goals. We've got emergencies, right? We've got short-term goals. We've got long-term goals. I would really like you to, I'll come back to this. Let's go to this next slide, because I think it's very important to understand. So when you are thinking about your goals, you need to understand which ones are emergency goals, the ones that are less than 12 months. Which ones are short-term goals, between 1 year and 5 years? Which ones are long-term goals, those that are beyond 5 years? Okay. So establish these goals and break them down using this savings plan, which I can actually email you. If you only do one thing for me right now, hey, please drop a comment in the comments section below. And also, let me know that you need this savings plan. And we will contact you and give you this savings plan. So having broken down your goals into emergency, short-term, and long-term, you then need to establish the amount of money needed for each of these goals. Okay? And having established how much is needed, you need to establish when the months that are, but when do you need this amount? By when do you actually need this money? Okay? And don't forget to rank the importance. How important is this? Rank them. Not every goal weighs the same weight, right? And then the amount of savings required per month. Okay, now how practical is this, Mbonke, you might ask? This is actually very practical. And you know, thinking about your life in this way is what really will set you apart from many people. Because a lot of people, information is readily available. I mean, this is not some kind of, you know, science. This is basic financial literacy knowledge. But you know what distinguishes people that actually start becoming financially independent from those that do not? It is in the action. It's actionable. It's actionable insights, eh? So when you gain those insights, are you able to apply them? So this is a savings plan that you can utilize. Try it out. And if you've got any questions, you can get back to me. We can work through these questions. Now, this is something that I've already done for myself. Eh? And you know, for me, I am really clear about the path I am on. I am so clear about it. I understand my short-term goals. I understand my long-term goals. Okay, even the emergencies that I have, I understand how I need to plan to save or save towards this. So your savings required per month is the amount needed divided by the months. Okay. Again, we are going to go through an example later on. So the question is, what do I do to get the money I need? And this is a question that was running throughout the training when I was doing this training in Lusaka for the welders. Eh? Now, Mbonke are telling us, you know, we can save this money, you've shown us this, but then how do we actually get this money? How do we get this money? So the first thing is you need to find out how much money you make, your revenue or your income. I'll use these words interchangeably. Revenue simply means money that you make. It's cash that you're making. Maybe through a salary, through a business, or through other means. So you need to establish how much money do you make and how much of that goes towards your expenditure. Okay. When you establish that, you will then be able to know how much money remains for savings. All right. So what I've described in essence is a budget. What I'm describing here is actually a budget. So find out how much money you make, how you spend it, and ensure you leave enough money for your savings. Remember, if you go back to your savings plan, you've got key goals that you want to achieve. So you need to make sure that you have enough money to save towards each of those goals every month. And you are going to see as we proceed how that is going to turn out. So what can you do to get the money you need? Create a budget. That is what I'm telling you. Create a budget. Budgeting helps you to know how much you have for your savings. Okay? A budget will help you to understand how much you're making. Now, you know, I like to talk about, because certain people would like to, or there are people that think that budgeting is just about creating a list or a plan of how you want to spend your money. You write down, you want to buy maybe milli-meal, would like to buy cooking oil, would like to buy washing paste, and then that's our budget. But budgeting also includes how you are going to make the money that you want to spend. And for me, in terms of financial education, I really want to focus on how you are going to make the money, less so on your expenditure. Yes, we are going to talk about save money, be frugal, don't buy, what do people love to buy? Beer or alcohol or whatever. Yes, I would encourage you not to be very, to be minimal and to focus on reducing your expenditure. But majority, for me, my financial education is focusing on how do you actually increase your income? How do you increase your income? Because if you're able to increase your income, you can manage your expenses as well. So look at budgeting not just from one angle, which is how do you spend the money, but also look at it from how do we make more money? Yes, right now my salary is 5,000 kwacha. These are my expenditures. I remain with only 500 kwacha. But focus on how do we grow this money from 5,000 to 10 to 15 or to even more money. Okay, so budgeting will help you not just on how to spend the money, but also how to grow your money. Okay, and if you've subscribed to my channel, if you're a regular follower, you are getting these insights, you are actionable, you actually apply. You actually apply, right? It's not just about listening. A lot of people actually listen to different YouTube channels, but it's about actioning. If you actually action, by the end of this year, you need to tell me how this is going. Okay, so that is budgeting. So we've looked at this already. It's the income minus your expenses that gives you how much you can actually save. The balance that remains determines how much you can actually save. Okay. All right, so how to make a family budget. I'm calling it a family budget. You can call it anything you like. Maybe you don't have a family, it can be a personal budget, it can be just how to make a budget. It really doesn't matter. The concepts are the same. So for you to create a budget, it's very simple. Don't complicate issues, hey? Just look at how much money you are making, write down your income, and then also focus on, look at the expenditure. How do I spend this money? Okay. The difference between your income and your expense is in business is the profit. For you as an individual is the amount of money available for you to actually save. Eh? Remember, the question is, where do I get money to save? We are all different. I will not tell you that you find money at this place. Money to save will come from your income, the income that you're making, minus your expenses. The balance is what we expect you to start building savings for, that you are then going to use for investment, because you can only grow your wealth through investing. You will never grow wealth through savings. And you know what? If you ask me what motivated me to start my YouTube channel, it was the realization that I had this savings account with this certain financial institution for a number of years since I was young. And, you know, I had no clue until recently. You know, it's so funny, right? I asked myself, because I was seeing the management fees and whatever bank charges from this account. That got me asking, what is this? Is supposed to be a savings account. How much money have I actually made from this savings account? And when I discovered that the savings account was actually not even making money for me, but I was actually paying to have this savings account running, I immediately closed it. I closed it, and then I started thinking, how can this be? And you know, I am a finance person, right? I teach finance and I do all this. But then for you to come to this realization, it really takes a bit of time. So it took a bit of time for me anyway. So how can this be? That is what actually got me thinking, okay? So when you think about your income, think about how to grow it, okay? So now the next slide is talking about how John can build his budget for his family. Okay, there's a template there that I'm going to share to you that is following me, which is in preparation for my next video on Thursday. There's actually an entire case study around this man called John. Eh? This is not a real story. It's a story that I created simply because I wanted to illustrate what John is able to do. Okay, so I am going to share a number of things to those that ask for this. I'm going to share the case study or the story about John and his family. What John does, his job, what John's wife does, their expenditure, how much money they make, and then we are going to practically apply what I've told you. By the time we are done, you're actually going to see John doesn't work for, he's not in full-time employment. He's got a small business and he makes little money every day. He doesn't even have big contracts. He doesn't have tenders with the government. He doesn't have tenders with the mines. John is a welder. And by the time we are done, you will see that John actually has the capacity to save money. And this is the realization many participants in the training that I'm telling you about came to realize, to say, oh, so I do have the capacity to save money. So for today, I am going to end here. And in preparation for our next live stream next week, I am going to share with you the case study for John, because it's central to the training that I did. And then we are going to apply how John was able to actually leave enough money. Look at this. It's saying available for savings. How much did John actually have available for savings? Okay. And so if you're watching right now and you probably run a small business, you make 100 kwacha, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 every day. And your question is, Mkonki, me, I don't get a salary. Me, I don't have a big business. So what do you, and then when I make that 500 kwacha, I actually have to go and buy maybe meal or cooking oil at home. So where do you think I'm going to get money to save? Huh? Yeah, okay. After this, I hope you can tell me the answer. Okay. So this is where I end. I'm not sure if there are any questions, if anybody has any questions. If no one has any questions, I am going to end this live stream right now. It's the first ever. But if you've got further questions, please don't you forget to drop them in the comments section on the YouTube channel, because this is a recorded video and it's going to be uploaded on YouTube immediately I end this live stream. All right, so this is just the beginning, guys. There's a lot. And in order for us to get the benefits, I encourage you to share this video so that we increase the numbers of subscribers, and also like and comment, because the way you discovered this video is how others are also going to discover it. And it's only by liking and sharing that this video is going to go viral, and we're going to have a lot more people joining us. All right, so I hope I provided some actionable insights today, insights that you're actually going to apply. All right, so thank you so much and see you next